All right, mate.
The coffee's there.
Okay. Well, this is going to be an interesting interview because this is one of the first ones I've done. I think where you're not that old. That's I say it loosely.
And we've lived together.
And we've lived together. Yeah, we've lived together.
And shared a bed.
I've not lived with many people. So I'm here today with Ian Ashby, who's a former British champion and former GB international. But for the record, what's your full name, date of birth, and where were you born?
Ian Stuart Ashby, 20th of July 1966, Canterbury, in Kent.
So, and how did you get into roller skating?
I got into roller skating through Herne Bay Pier Pavilion and Herne Bay United, I think they were called at the time, and they were a roller hockey team. And then Jim Lippiott started a speed skating team, which I think started out as Herne Bay United, and then became Herne Bay Flyers a few years later.
So, I know you lived next door to Jim Lippiott, and he was the 1 mile British champion in 1959. Did you know that?
I did know that, yeah. Sort of.
Did you know that when you was living next door to him?
No, I had no idea. I just assumed he was the bloke next door who liked roller skating.
Right.
I was only 10 or 11 at the time.
Yeah, right. So, because his daughters Denise and Helen were roller skating.
They were speed skaters as well, weren't they? Yeah. I think they did artistic as well, but they were mainly speed skaters.
So, was Jim the one who got you into it, or did you just have to go down the pier? How did that come about?
It's hard to remember. I think it was because of Jim. I think Jim was the influence, and I tried it and liked it and got into it, and he kind of guided me through it really. And the girls, Denise and Helen, obviously helped me along, and they were, it just made it enjoyable. They were the next door neighbours, and it was easy just to fall into it, and I enjoyed it.
Well, I was looking back through some records and like when your first race was, and I've got it down as the 23rd of January 1977. That's what I've got. That's the furthest I can go back. So
I didn't have a clue.
So, and it was an 800 metre handicap, and you was off 50 metres, and you lost.
Not much changed in the entire time then, really.
I don't know where it was.
I was never off scratch because I was never that good, and I never won.
I didn't know. When they said it was a handicap, I didn't know if you had a rag arm and a limp, but I suppose that's not politically correct English. But no, so I don't know where it was, but anyway, that's where I got 23rd January.
It was probably at Herne Bay, I'd have thought.
Could have been. It was an NSA race, it says, so I wasn't sure if it was going to be Granby Halls, but...
It could have been Granby Halls. I remember going up on a coach to Granby Halls, all of us from Herne Bay.
Really?
Just on a big coach, going up to Granby Halls, and then obviously coming back, stopping at the services, and it was just such good fun.
So was there lots of people in the club when you joined it, or...?
There were quite a few, yeah. There was a guy called Ron Barker who looked after Herne Bay United. He did the roller hockey side of it, because I started off in roller hockey.
Oh, right.
I was a goalkeeper.
Right.
In roller hockey, yeah. And then went on to the speed skating. But yeah, there was quite a lot of people there.
What made you switch between hockey and the speed skating?
I don't know really. I just enjoyed it. I just enjoyed the speed skating more than the hockey. I didn't fancy great big hard balls going firing in my head. I kind of felt more under control speed skating than having these dirty great big hard balls flying in my head.
Well,
excuse me while I have a coffee.
Yeah, you carry on, mate. So about 18 months on from your first race, then you take part in your first British Championship. Well, it might have been your second British Championship, but anyway, it was the July '78, and you got a silver medal in the 400 metres on Southampton. And I know we spoke very briefly earlier about this, but it was to Rowan. But you don't remember that?
I don't remember a great deal about that. No, I remember at the time Rowan was head and shoulders above everybody else.
Yeah.
And yeah, I do remember getting medals at that time and getting silvers and bronzes beyond Rowan, but I don't remember a great deal about it. I do remember Southampton, because I remember being a young kid and running around the track at Southampton, which was massive.
It was big.
And I think when the Europeans in and around that time
actually,
Southampton,
a couple of years after.
Was it?
Yeah, it's a couple of years, 1980.
So I kind of remember that, and I remember your dad, and I remember Ian Cox and all those people.
Yeah.
But only because I was 11 or whatever, 12, and I don't remember a great deal about them.
Yeah. Well, you're right. Southampton don't exist anymore. For enough, I think they knocked it down. They've built something on it.
I remember there was a big ski slope there.
That's right. Yeah.
And me and you went and played up the ski slope and slid down the ski slope and burnt our backside. I think.
They got a fair, they got trampoline. I remember getting it stuck in the springs on the trampoline. But a couple of years after that, then you was a junior international, 1981. You went to Pamplona.
I got close to being selected the year before that.
Right. Okay.
And I can't remember how it came about. I think I didn't get selected, and then literally a day afterwards, I went in and had an appendicitis. I'm not sure whether I had it. I'm not quite sure exactly. But I know I was close the year before to go in.
Right.
And then the following year, I went. There was me, Rowan, Simon Burgess, and I think maybe Jamie Godden.
Jamie Godden went.
Yeah,
I think that's who else went.
Pamplona.
I think it was Neil Hedger.
Yes, I think he did.
Yeah.
I think you're right. Yeah. And then some girls, I think Dawn Birch went.
Possibly, yeah.
Lisa
Smith,
yeah. I think
Alison would have went. Karen Hodder.
Karen Hodder, that was it, yeah.
I think,
That was great, that was good. I enjoyed that, I enjoyed Pamplona.
Yeah. Do you remember, what do you remember of it?
I remember in a race, me and Simon Burgess trying to lead out Rowan Harlow and probably doing an absolutely rubbish job of it because we were so young and we hadn't got a clue what we were doing. And I think me and Simon messed it up so badly, and Rowan just about managed to get a third place or something. But that was more him than us.
Yeah. Well, because I remember, I never went away as a junior, but looking at the rules in them days, is that you was only allowed to skate up to 5,000 metres.
Thank God for that, eh?
Yeah. No, I
couldn't last 5,000.
Well, I put on your profile that you was embarrassed that you couldn't do the 10,000, but yeah, we all know the truth.
No, absolutely.
But what I didn't know when I looked at the results was that you skated every distance.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Me and Rowan and I think the other three guys kind of split them between them.
Yeah.
But yeah, God knows how I managed that.
Yeah, well, yeah, I've been asking myself the same, but yeah, but no. In actual fact, I mean, like you had out of the races you did, you had like 5 top 10 finishes, I think.
I mean, they weren't spectacular, were they? But I mean, it was good. I mean, there was. I would imagine starting every race there was probably 20 to 30 juniors.
Right.
I would have thought, and getting top 10 is good.
Yeah.
It's not spectacular. I didn't win a medal, or I didn't. Rowan got medals, which was great.
Yeah, he got a silver, that's right. Yeah.
But it was good. It was a great experience, but nothing to write home about.
But 12 months on from that, then, so 1982, June 82, you was British junior champion. First of all, it was I think it was at 3,000 metres.
Yeah, at Tatum, was it?
At Tatum, yeah. And then you won the 500 metres then. I think a week or 2 weeks later.
I just remember that year because I think what happened was, and I was lucky more than anything, I think, Rowan went up a year early.
That's right, he did. Yeah.
Rowan was my age,
and
he was head and shoulders above everybody else, and he went up a year early.
That's right.
And then something happened, something clicked, and I almost like I learned how to race. Do you know what I mean? I suddenly figured it out that what I needed to do was this, and I could win races. And that year, it was always between me and Simon Burgess.
I was going to say, I remember that year, funny enough, as a kid, because I hadn't started at that time. I was 12 months off from start, but I remember going to the race, obviously, because of my dad. And I remember it was always you and Simon.
It was me and Simon, and I can't remember how many I won, but I know I won a lot that year.
Yeah.
And we were great friends, me and Simon, and it's an odd situation.
Yeah.
But it was good. I remember just being, I'd figured out how I could win races by literally just sitting in there, waiting to the death and using my speed to win a race. And as I say, I was fortunate that Rowan went up a year early and I was able to win most of the races that year. But no, it was a good year.
Well, with Simon, talking about Simon Burgess, because it was very much you and Simon were really, then I think, head and shoulders above the other guys around you. It was always between you and Simon.
It was, yeah.
But was you racing him, or was you giving races away for one another, or what?
No, it wasn't. I don't know why or how it came about, but I don't recall giving races away.
Right.
I remember wanting to win every one because I hadn't won that many before then.
Yeah.
And I'd started winning them, and I wanted to win every flipping one of them.
Well, it was a month before your 16th birthday, and like in them days, you used to go up on your birthday.
Yeah. That's
so 4 weeks later. So you was racing Simon, but he never went up to the seniors, did he?
No, I think
He did the
stopped then.
juniors. He stopped then.
Yeah,
Did,
he
did that affect you in any way? Do you think, or because you sort
I
of,
don't think so.
you know, I know I've always felt you were very close on the track, and I just wondered, like,
Yeah.
when he said,
No, I don't think so. I don't remember a great deal about going from juniors to seniors.
right,
I don't know really. I wouldn't say I was in awe of the people that were kind of up there, but I knew them. I knew Rowan, John Quinney, your dad, John Fry, and and I knew of these people, and I knew they were good. And I kind of always thought to myself that I really wasn't as good as them, and I just thought, well, next step I'll give it a bash. I'll go and see how I get on. And I didn't really expect to do as well as I did in the time trial the following year.
So we'll come on to that. I mean, so when you was in Urnban, you've been there for a few years now. So who did you look up to at that time? Do you think? I mean, you've been skating since you were 10, so you were 16.
Yeah.
Who was just? I mean, so that's 6 years. I mean, some people's skating careers in 6 years. You know what I mean? So you've been there 6 years. Who was you sort of looking up to at that time? Do you think?
Initially, it was Jim Lippier.
Right. Okay.
After that, really, I wasn't really looking up to anybody. I just had a group of friends.
Yeah.
And I was just fortunate that I kind of got good in that last year as a junior, and that spurred me on to carry on as a senior. If I hadn't have kind of won so many races in my last year as a junior, maybe it would have just all petered out like it did for a lot of people. But I won a lot of races, and I just thought I'll give it a go as a senior.
Well, Herne Bay as a club was really a very big and very successful club, and it sort of emerged almost overnight. It wasn't like an established club like your Alexandra Palaces or your Merciers at that time and your North Londons. This was just like, I know Herne Bay United had been around, but Herne
Bay United have been around a long time in roller hockey terms, and still are.
Yeah.
But no, Herne Bay Flyers, I mean, that was really started off by Jim Lippier, I think, and then taken over by Rowan's father, and they took him on from there, and then obviously we started the internationals.
Yeah, that's right.
It really took off. Yeah.
Who coached the club?
Well, initially Jim, and then Rowan's dad.
Really? So John used to coach there, even though he never put a pair of skates on. He used to turn up the.
He used to train us around the car park and that. I can't remember now. I think Charlie Turner used to do a little bit.
Yeah, of course, Charlie.
And then Harry McCulley used to do a bit.
Right. Okay. So, yeah, well, I mean, you say John Arlo hadn't put a pair of skates on, but he must have done something right, because Rowan and Ashley were both excellent skaters.
Yeah, they were superb skaters. Rowan was so powerful,
yeah,
and Ashley was an unbelievable sprinter, and had stamina with it as well, which was, Who
would you say you was closest to in the Herne Bay Club at that time, do you reckon?
Probably initially Simon Burgess and then John Quinney.
Yeah. Yeah, because he was a bit old.
John was only 1 year older.
He's how old he is, a year older. So what was your relationship with Rowan and Ashley like at that time?
Ashley was a lot younger than me,
Yeah,
so I didn't
course,
really
yeah. Have much.
spend much time with Ashley. Rowan was obviously the same age as me, and he was that much better than me. He was stronger. He was more powerful. And I suppose you could say there was a rivalry, but not really a deep rivalry, because I wasn't really I wasn't beating him at that time. He was beating everybody hands down as a junior.
Yeah, because he was successful, like you're saying. He went on to be at senior level as well.
He was so strong.
Can you remember the training sessions you used to do around the car park?
Yeah, kind of. I've never been a great trainer. I was, you know yourself, Jesus.
I do. Yeah.
You used to go round and round and round for hours, and I'd be sauntering around. And
I'm a sprinter, and I'll come on for a lap.
Exactly,
I'll come on for a quick lap.
Oh, look at me! I've got natural talent. What a load of rubbish.
I remember them days. So you move up to senior then. So 1983. And you see, moved up to senior in like July '82. In '83, the British Championships come round, and it's the 300 metre time trials on Taunton Park. I know you win it, and everyone knows you win it. But do you remember it? Do you remember how you felt?
Yeah, absolutely.
What did you think?
I felt like I was floating. Seriously, I've been thinking about this since I knew I was going to talk to you, and I was trying to think of that day, because that was probably the best I've ever felt and the best I've ever gone. by a country mile.
Did you go into it expecting to win it?
No, I hadn't got a clue. I probably travelled up there on the day, just thinking it's just another race. I didn't think back then, or any time, I didn't think too much about the racing. I just kind of turned up. But I do, looking back on it, I do remember starting and going off really quickly, and the bends are quite sweeping at Tatum. And I remember almost standing upright. I wasn't crouched over, I was stood upright, and I was striding around the corner, and it felt like effortless, and it felt like I was kind of floating on air. And I remember going around the corner and almost being pushed. I felt like I was going that quick that I was just on the limit of holding it around the corners, but I was taking every stride, and I knew it was quick. I knew it was damn. I didn't even jump for the line. I just went through the line.
The finish used to be just off the bend
corner.
as you come off the bend,
That's
wasn't it? That's
and
what it used to be.
I flew around that corner, and years after that, when I did time trials, I obviously always just kind of jumped for the line. But I didn't even jump for the line then, and I finished. And as soon as I finished, then, you know, they're going down the straight at Tatum. I almost went off onto the grass because my legs had gone. Yeah. Completely went wobbly after that, and I'd obviously put everything into it. But I just remember thinking, blimey, that was quick.
Plastic wheels then days as well.
I think yes, it
Mac
was.
ones,
yeah,
yeah,
it was,
the old pale blue Mac
that's
ones.
It, yeah.
So, you finished. Do you remember who was second?
I thought it was your dad.
Darren Cobley.
Was it Darren?
Darren Cobley, and you was 3/4 of a second in front of him.
Wow.
Yeah, a good 3/4 of a second. And 27.84 was the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it was. But when you did the time, they announced the times, did you think, blooming heck, did you then start to think I could win this, or I'm in the shape of a medal, or what?
No, not at all. I don't know whether it was because I was 16 years old or what it was, but I was totally unaffected by it.
Yeah.
I don't recall thinking, oh blimey, I'm going to. Obviously, I was delighted. I did. But no, I didn't think to. I just remember thinking, blimey, that was quick.
And do you remember when you did win it? Do you remember what it was like to go and collect it? I mean, do you remember how you felt?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So proud.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Getting that gold medal, and they used to have the NSA written on the front of it, and then on the back of it was already engraved as to what it was, and it was in a nice little case and everything. Yeah. And to this day, yeah, my mother's got it at home somewhere.
Well, for the people watching, like obviously at that time that was not only a British record, but an unofficial world record.
Yeah, unofficial.
Yeah, well, the story obviously is that like the 300 metre time trial was quite a new distance both internationally and nationally, and there hadn't been that many. But Tatum Park is also one of the fastest tracks in the world. But does it rankle you a bit that the NSA never really got their act together and applied for that, or what?
It didn't affect me first because I didn't know at first.
Yeah.
I think I only first found out that it was a world record when I changed clubs to Birmingham.
Yeah, the old man.
I think your dad told me.
Yeah.
And then it kind of annoyed me, obviously, because you like to think that you kind of get
recognised from the shoot.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But obviously now I've kind of let it go and it doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
But it's a shame, obviously.
Yeah.
It is a shame if it was that quick and it was that good. And my understanding was that I think it lasted for about 18 months, or it would have done.
Yeah, very possibly.
Yeah. I'm sure that it would have. I forget. I think it was your dad that told me that it would have lasted 18 months because it wasn't until in Zandvoort or somewhere like that.
No, I'll tell you what it was. It was Bogota, I think.
Bogota,
and Sato.
At what's his name? At altitude as well.
Yeah, Sato's.
So that kind of that rang a bit, but you have to let it go, don't you? It's one of those things.
Well, they should have still pushed it because it was a track record. Bogota was road.
Yeah. Okay.
There you go.
Okay,
so something else for you to get upset about. Yeah, don't let it get to you.
Forgot about it. Yeah. Years ago.
Well, back then, right, you was known more as a sprinter.
You couldn't do anything much more.
I'm going to say you're probably actually that's unfair really because you're known more now really as a sprinter. But did you consider yourself as such back then, or did you think I'm no good after 300 metres or 400 metres? I'm not really much cop, or was you specific on sprints, or did you consider yourself an all-rounder back then?
No, not at all. I was a sprinter, and I knew what I could do, and I knew if I could last to the end of a race, I had a chance, and it was fine until Wisbeach came along,
Yeah.
with their constant hammering it off the front. Huey Doggett and Andrew Newton and
I mean, laps can be put on everybody. Yeah, this
and Chucky.
Lap the pack 15 times.
He was about half my height, but had about 10 times my stamina.
Well, before you won the time
And if you're
trial,
watching this, Chucky,
he will. I'll send him a copy. So when you by the time you won the 300 metres out, I don't know if you remember, but you'd won the relay actually.
Yeah.
And can you remember who the team was?
Yeah.
You can now.
No, I can. It was David Jackson.
Yeah.
Rowan Harlow.
No.
Wasn't it?
No. It was Quinny.
Yeah.
Oh well, actually.
Jeff Finlayson.
Yeah, that's it. It was Quinny, yourself, Dave Jackson, and Jeff Finlayson. Yeah.
Why do Rowan didn't do it?
Yeah, well, the only thing I can think of, unless it wasn't Jeff and he was a reserve, but for some reason, I think it was Jeff Finlayson. I know he skated for Ernbay, and he's down on the programme as being the team.
I always remember Jeff with his
Ginger Jeff.
With his hat, with all his hair coming through his hat.
He's got a massive afro, an orange afro.
Yeah.
Well, he was. I think he might have been in the team. So.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he was.
But anyway, so you've won the time trial, won the relay. Then in September, you get called up for the Europeans in Cremona.
I remember that.
Do you remember the trials leading up to that? Was it? You don't. Can you remember being selected? Was you a letter or how was you informed?
I think Pat Feetham spoke to me.
Yeah, because he was the manager.
Yeah, I got a letter, but I'm pretty sure Pat Feetham spoke to me.
Right.
And he said, for the first time, we want to take a sprinter.
Oh.
And basically you're being selected as a sprinter. And I remember going there, and I remember the track being unbelievably tight. I think it was 166 metres.
I think it was tight,
and it was marble or something. Or
Terrazzo tiles or something.
I just couldn't cope with it. I just couldn't cope with the corners. Because my natural reaction was to swoop down into the corners, but you had to stay around the top.
Yeah.
I couldn't cope with it. Far better on the road. Much preferred the road.
It was a smooth track.
Saying that the road was tarmac and it was 90-degree bends.
That's right.
It was a square.
That's it. Yeah.
And that was hard, but I felt I did better on the road. Yeah. And then the relay. Oh my God, we so should have got a medal in that relay.
He was fourth.
But that doesn't tell the story. There was me, Quinny, and Cobley.
That's right.
All three of us fell at different moments in the race. I'm trying to remember now. There was a French guy, big black fella.
Nassaby.
Yeah, and basically he'd pushed the guy in front, and I just had my head down, and I was chasing him. He'd obviously suddenly gone really slowly, and I went straight into the back of him, straight up in the air, onto the backside. We got up, and because of all the falls, it had got mistimed. I think I was supposed to be doing the last lap, or Cobley was, I can't remember. But as it turned out, Quinny did the last lap. Little Quinny, 5 foot nothing. Sorry. and he was for third place. He was up against Harold, the German, 6 foot flipping 10 or whatever he was. And I remember I was pushing Quinny, and I was catching the Germans, and we weren't that far behind the Germans when I changed to Quinny, and he was literally on Harold. And poor old Quinny, his legs were going like that. Harold was going like that. And we missed out by nothing.
Yeah.
That was such a shame.
You got it.
But I am actually, because if we hadn't, and none of the falls were our fault really. Yeah, I should have had my head up, and I shouldn't have gone into the back of your man. But, we shouldn't really have, if we hadn't fallen over, we would have at least got a bronze, maybe something better. We were flying.
Yeah.
But, hey ho.
Yeah. I mean, I remember the trip. Funny enough, I was a 16-year-old kid. I remember going.
I remember your dad having a really bad fall, and I think that's why he didn't do the relay.
He didn't do the road. He was injured. No, he didn't skate the road. Funny enough, he did fall, but he did the relay on the track, but he didn't skate the road. He didn't skate the road because he was injured. What was it like skating for Britain then? Was you aware of what you was achieving or what you'd achieved in
No, again, I think I was too young.
Yeah.
I think I was too young to really kind of appreciate it.
Yeah.
Because again, I was only 16.
Yeah.
Or maybe 17. Just 17.
Yeah.
I really think I was too young. And looking back, if if it hadn't have happened so quickly, maybe I would have appreciated it more. Who knows? But no, it definitely happened too young.
Well, that year as well, I think later in the year, the Worlds were going to be in Argentina.
Yeah.
And
But I didn't even think about that.
Really?
It didn't even register.
Yeah.
Again, I think because I was too young, I just got selected. I turned up. I went.
Yeah.
You know, that was it.
You never thought it's a World Championships, it's an opportunity to...
Not really, no. But that's what I'm saying. I think it's almost like it's handed to you on a plate, and you don't appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happened.
Well, not long after then, John Quinney, who's probably your closest mate now, I suppose, in the team, retires. I mean, he does the odd cameo role for the relays and stuff, but internationally he didn't do anything else.
No.
Did that affect you in any way, or
Possibly, yeah, because I would have been training with John, and we would have been close. And if you remember, in Cremona, didn't John get a bronze medal?
No,
on the track. Sorry.
He got
fourth.
He got fourth, yeah, and he got fourth. They got the bronze in the relay. Him, Cobley, and me dad.
That's it on the track.
Yeah, on the track. Yeah, but Quinney.
I remember him. He was hitting it off the front constantly.
He was strong,
and he was flying in those championships. He was unbelievably strong, and I'm sure it was only because the Italians blocked him out that he missed out on the medal. I'm sure the Italians got 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
And because it was his first championships, if he'd been a little bit smarter, he would have got himself a medal.
Well, funny enough, I spoke to him a couple of months back. Like he says, I met up with him for the first time in a long time, 20 years, 25 years maybe. And he sort of regretted giving up at that time, but obviously work was taken over. But he was only 18. So you think, I always think of him as being, around for a while, but he was only 18 when he stopped. So
well, that was the thing with the people from Herne Bay. Most of them really just were only around for 5 or 6 years.
Yeah. Well, the following year, '84, then the British Championships are on Birmingham Wheels. The first event on Birmingham Wheels is the British Championships, and you're going there to defend your title, and you lose out to Fry by 0.2 of a second. But there's a bit more to it than that, wasn't there? The old the zip story. Tell me about the zip story. Tell me about it.
I'm mortified about that.
Why? Yeah, but you see, I don't think that there's much wrong with that.
Well, looking back, I kind of do. I mean, what difference would it have made?
Yeah, well,
it was just I was chancing my arm because I lost.
To be fair, and again, you probably don't realise this, but looking back, you wouldn't have known at that time because you went before the old man.
Did I?
Yeah.
Right.
So you wouldn't have known that your time was faster or slower than his anyway. So you know what I mean. You would have had to put the protest in or the application
before I knew that I'd lost.
So so
it's hard to remember, isn't it?
Yeah, but go on.
But I can't remember. Obviously, coming down and just being annoying and flapping around while I was trying to race.
Classic.
But there we go.
Well, for the record, for people watching, I'll just tell you, right, because he obviously doesn't want to tell you.
No.
Is the fact that he did a time trial. He was defending champion. He did the time trial, and whether it was the exertion of his chest heaving, I have no idea. But his zip popped on his skin suit, and in them days, you was today, if you have equipment failure, you can ask for a rerun. And whilst most people attribute it to the skates, he decided that his equipment extended to his skin suit, and the officials felt sorry for him and let him have a go.
I think it was just the fact they didn't want your dad to win.
I think it was funny you should say that, but that's exactly what we said. They would do anything for the old man not to win. And of course, you was the quickest bloke around at the time, so if anybody was going to beat him, it was going to be yourself. But hey, yeah, you didn't. but by 0.2 of a second. But
that wasn't a lot, really.
No, it wasn't a lot. No. It wasn't. I tell you what is.
I still think he was lucky, John.
Yeah, right. I remember on the rostrum you spitting in the cup.
No, I wouldn't.
No, pretending to.
I wouldn't have been that disrespectful.
I remember pretending to, which was quite funny. But what's the funny thing is that weekend though, you broke your wrist.
Yeah, I did. In one of those stupid long races.
The long distance.
10,000 metres or something.
I love those races.
Yeah, someone fell over in front of me and I tried to jump over them and landed on my backside with my wrist down and snapped.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
How long did that put you out for?
Yeah, probably a couple of months, I'd have thought.
Really?
Something like that. I remember going to the hospital in Birmingham and getting it strapped up.
Oh, okay.
And then I had to have a cast on it. And it was my left. It was my left wrist.
That's right.
Because I was going through college at the time and doing exams, and I write with my left wrist.
Oh yeah, of course.
On
Yeah.
my left hand. I'm sure I was probably out of action for a couple of months or something.
Yeah. I think you went over the top of Dave Tilsley.
Did I?
Yeah. Rest in peace, Dave Tilsley.
Yeah.
But you didn't go to Worlds or Euros in '84, and I wasn't sure. Was that just because you wasn't selected, or did the wrist have anything to play with it?
No, the wrist didn't have anything to do with it. I think what it was I went in '83, and I think the best I got was a 6th.
I don't know.
I think it was a 6th in '83 in the time trial. Pretty sure.
Yeah.
And obviously Pat Feeham had taken me as a sprinter, and I guess he was hoping that I'd do better than that. And he decided that didn't work that year, and decided not to go for it the following year.
Yeah, they only took 3. Funny enough, the following year they only took 3 people. Yeah. Harlow was still one of those guys going. How did that make you feel that Harlow was in the team? Did you think anything about it?
Again, no, not a great deal. I was just too young at the time. I was too busy, I probably wasn't training hard enough, and I was enjoying myself too much, and kind of things you do when you're a teenager. And I don't recall thinking too deeply about it.
Right. Well,
when it hit home that I used to be in the team and I wasn't, and I wanted to get back in it, was when I moved to Birmingham.
Really.
And started training with you and your dad. And that was when I realised, what am I doing? I've been messing around for a few years here when I could have been doing something a bit better.
Yeah, well, funny, I was going to say, because again, a year on from there, 85 now, and again, you're not in the team, but in actual fact, you were sort of off the radar a bit. You've got Ashley, who had started to come good as a junior. He'd won Junior Europeans in 84, and then made the senior team in 85. You got Rowan, his brother, then you got Newton, Tucky, Cobley, the old man's still thereabouts. But yourself's nowhere to be seen. Was that just, as you said, you were just...
Yeah, I think I was in the process of moving from Kent to Birmingham, I think at the time. I was going through college down in Kent. There was just lots of upheaval, and I wasn't training that hard. Didn't really have any of my friends skating for the Birmingham for the Herne Bay club anymore. So it was just, I wasn't doing a great deal at that point. It wasn't until I moved to Birmingham in, was it 86?
86 is when you came.
Then I started coming back again, because I started training with you guys, and it was more of a, I had a training plan there, and I had someone training me and your father that I could trust in and I could rely on, and I started training harder. Probably not as hard as I should have done ever.
And give you the bollocking when you weren't going right.
Exactly. Someone guiding me. And.
Well, funny enough, 86 is quite a key year, because as you say, you moved from Kent to Birmingham, but I can't remember which part of the year that was, but I do know that in the July of 86, the British Championships were on Westbrook Lane, the brand new track in Herne Bay, and the time trials were on there as well. But they after a few runs, which you did your effort and you were leading. They then cancelled it and postponed it till October. Do you remember that?
No, not a great deal. I remember the Herne Bay track,
and
I was so disappointed, because obviously it's my hometown, and I hated it. Hated the track.
Yeah, I know. It was a dead track, wasn't it?
Dead track. It was too small.
Yeah.
I think it was 166 metre.
It was.
And I don't know why, I just couldn't get on with 166 metre tracks.
It was small.
And then it was the tarmac.
Yeah.
The tarmac wasn't very smooth.
Yeah.
And you just felt like you sunk into the track.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't stand it.
I remember the track was like a dead material. You couldn't get anything out the ground.
Yeah.
It was like really. It was almost like the shape was there, but the
felt
surface
like you were ploughing through porridge or something. It was awful.
I must admit, I didn't particularly go with that track either. But you don't remember them postponing the event?
I kind of do, yeah. But it's not up there, it's not at the forefront of my memory, but I kind of do, yeah.
Because I think it was something to do with the timing equipment.
Yeah.
And I'm not 100%, but I'm pretty certain that, because I know my dad was the next to go after you, and looking back at some of the results, you got your time at 31.47 from memory, I think he's but his time, it was sort of a question mark over it, and I seem to recall that because it meant that he hadn't posted the time, or the clock didn't stop, or whatever, is that he would then have to go again. And knowing me dad, I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't kick up a right stink. about it, you know what I mean? And say, well, how can you take the times as being valid and I've got to go again? And I think they took the view, okay, we'll postpone it.
Postpone it,
Yeah, but it was postponed and it was run in October.
On Tatum, wasn't it?
On Tatum, yeah. So not only it was moved from Westbrook Lane to Tatum.
Which suited me much more.
Well, yeah. Well, I was going to say we're there, and
I think your dad was a better, was a superb tight track skater.
Yeah.
And
possibly,
he would always beat me hands down on a small track like that. But Tatum, I always felt more comfortable on.
I still maintain it's one of the, if not the fastest track in the world by sheer size and shape.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean times prove that time and time again. But 86, because I mean you regained your title in 86, and you beat my dad by over a second on that.
Well, that's what I say. The track just suited me.
Yeah,
I wasn't a second faster than your dad ever. You know, your dad was much better than I was on all levels of skating. But that particular track suited me. And that was the simple fact of the matter. Yeah.
I remember. I don't know if you remember this, but I actually remember because I mean I was never a sprinter. I mean Brian Hartley beat me one year, but I remember. Sorry, Brian, if you're watching this. There's no disrespect. I'm just saying. He was about 30 years older than me, but. I remember on Tatum because you joined the club and it was one of your first races for the club, and somebody must have said something to you that my dad would give it to you that race, or that he deliberately slowed down. Now I remember you probably don't remember this, but I remember you being really upset by that and asking me if I thought that was true, and I said there's no way on God's earth that he would have gone any slower. One, you can't do it in a time trial anyway.
No, you can't.
But you know, I didn't know if you remembered that.
There was always a bit of bitchiness, wasn't there? From one party and another in skating.
I think it's because you joined the Birmingham club and it was a one.
I'm sure it was that. And you're right. I don't remember it.
Yeah.
And knowing now what I know now, I know your dad would never let me win anything.
He wouldn't. Well, he wouldn't. He, I mean, it was not that type of. You can't in time trial. He wouldn't risk it.
He wouldn't let anybody win.
Well, it's not. He wouldn't have risked losing it. You can't give up a time trial. But what's funny is the fact that your last race for Herne Bay was on Birmingham wheels, and you know what I mean. Your first race for Birmingham wheels was actually on Herne Bay. Anyway,
Strange.
But because the seasons then started on the 1st of October, so whereas you'd started racing for Herne Bay in the time trial in the July, you'd actually completed it and matched up a title.
Didn't I race for NSA for a while? I'm sure I did. I think.
I don't think you did.
I thought it got a bit iffy. I remember racing in the white of NSA.
I don't remember that.
I'm sure it was in between Herne Bay and Birmingham because. I don't know, there was some silly little argument or something. I'm sure there was a few races where I raced in the white, I'm positive.
So for the record then, so what made you leave Herne Bay and go to Birmingham?
Just work. I managed to get a job. John, you were sending me papers up from Birmingham, or down from Birmingham. I managed to get a job and... lived in and around Birmingham and started training with Birmingham. And then, whereas when I was at Herne Bay, I didn't really have anybody influencing me since Jim Lippiott, really. Yeah. In those early days. I then had your dad kind of, who I could draw on his experience and learn from him. And if anything, I kind of regret not learning more than I could have done from him. And that's totally down to me. But that's one of those things. But the opportunity was there, and I think I could have perhaps if personal issues or whatever hadn't have taken over, then perhaps applied myself a little more and done a little more. But that's history, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean,
but certainly your dad was a massive influence at that time.
I think I
looked up to him.
Not an uncommon thought though of people to think that they could have done more. I don't think that's uncommon. To be a champion.
Yeah, you know how I used to train. I could have done more.
You did right. Yeah, you was a slacker. You might trying a kid. But you won your title though in '86. You've regained it now. So it's the second time. The second time you've won it. But you didn't get this again selected for Worlds or Euros. I mean, I think it was Australia then was the in '86. It was Adelaide. and the Euros in '86. I can't remember, but I think it was finale Amelia actually. But but was you aware of that again? You know that you weren't selected because Newtons and Tuckies now.
Yeah, I was disappointed then, and I think the whole culture then was to select the guys that could just power off the front, and I didn't get a look in.
Well, Feetham had moved on as well.
Yes.
You're now looking at your McGough being in charge, and you know, and Chloe.
Your North London crowd and people like that.
Yeah.
And obviously, you know, you had Tony coming through at that time, I think, who was another one that was powering off the front, unbelievably strong. And that was the mentality, I think. And I didn't get a look in, although, you know, I won medals at the British Championships and won the 300 and things like that.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, again, moving on again, '87, you are now living and training in Birmingham with the Birmingham Wheels Club, and this time you do get selected for the for the Euros rather, in Ostend. And funny enough, it was I think it was you did the road and my dad did the track.
Yeah, I was gutted about that. Not that it was like your dad over me or whatever, but just I really wanted to race the track because I always felt Zandvoort suited me.
Yeah.
It was really similar to Tatum.
Yeah, surface wise.
And I knew that I could have done a damn good time.
Yeah.
Or I felt I could have done. And again, I was feeling in great shape. I had a good winter behind me with you guys in Birmingham. And I just knew that I could have done a really good time on Zandvoort, and I was gutted about that. And the road didn't really suit me.
It was a bit of a goat road. Well, it was a bit.
It wasn't a great road surface.
No.
Or even layout. And I was disappointed about that because I loved Zandvoort, and I always got that same feeling around the bends of Zandvoort that I could just go as quick as I wanted to without having to worry about it.
Yeah, I can relate to that because I know the surface on Zandvoort I think very much suited British skaters at that time because it was so much like Tatum Park in terms of it was asphalt. I mean, British skaters had a lot of success on Zandvoort, both at the international and Europeans.
No, absolutely. And I felt I might not have come away and won anything, but I felt like I could have done something. Whether it be the 300, the 500, or whatever, I really do.
So in that, I remember '87 as well because do you remember the race at Derby? That was 1987. Me and you in the.
Where there was money on it for the first time ever.
Was that funny?
And we were determined to win that money.
Yeah.
Sod the glory.
Yeah. My old man always used to say to me, to people, I should say to that, money doesn't make you fast, it makes you first.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
And I remember you going off the front and me trying to hold Ashley, I think.
Marriott.
Or was it Tony Marriott?
Tony Marriott as well.
And Ashley Harlow.
And Richard Harley.
Hugh Doggett, and just holding them all back for what seemed like an eternity. Until I was completely exhausted because I was rubbish. Let's face it. On a small track and on a long distance, I was useless. I managed to hold him back just long enough so he could win the race.
It was funny. Marriott came back like a man possessed, and after that, and I just beat him on the line. But I remember when we got I always remember John Harlow coming out the stands and shouting out, "You wouldn't have won that if it weren't for Ashby." Which is quite right, I wouldn't have won it if it weren't for Ashby. But and I remember turning to him and saying, "That's alright, we're going 50-50 on the prize money." And he was not a happy man.
I don't recall seeing a penny.
I do. I think we found there were tokens, there was supposed to be £1,200 worth of tokens, and we flogged them for a tenner. I think I bought you a pint. So I remember that, right. But then 1988 was a strange year because when I look at the records, you raced up until May, and then in about the June onwards, you stopped. You just completely stopped. We did a 2-man relay at Granbioles, the indoor championships as it was, the first.
Yeah.
But you just sort of stopped, and I don't know what happened.
I think that was when I met my wife.
88?
Yeah. And
really?
I started in a serious relationship.
Right.
And it just kind of took me away from it. Because I remember, wasn't that the year I won the Wiz Beach half marathon?
Yeah, it was probably around then actually.
And I'd had a decent winter behind me. Not brilliant, but for me decent.
Yeah. You trained, you mean?
Yeah, I trained. I actually went to the gym regularly and stuff. And yeah, actually trained when it rained, which was a miracle. No, I did. Every now and again. And yeah, I managed to win the Whiz Beach Half Marathon, which was just, if anybody that ever knew me, that's a miracle.
Trust me, I'm still feeling the shock now.
I think Huey Doggett couldn't quite believe what happened. Sorry, Huey.
But yeah, because as I said, it was.
And then I think personal life took over,
yeah.
and I in a relationship, and
we didn't race at all in '89.
No,
it was.
I was married, I think, at that point, and in a relationship, and other issues take over, don't they?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was very sporadic then for a few years, really. I mean, you got '89. I think you did the time trial and come forth, but you only did the champs, and you toyed with it right through. I mean, I've got here. You toyed with the '91 season again. You didn't do anything in '92, so you're looking at really.
About
4 years, yeah.
Yeah, which was roughly how long I was married.
Right. Coincidentally. Yes. Okay.
Does that tell you a story?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. I had exactly the same problem. But then towards the end of '92, well, inlines were appearing.
Mm-hmm.
Because the first time we saw them was in '91 at the Worlds, but they weren't used. It was Doug Glass who was on them, and I remember my dad querying it and saying, "What are they like?" And he said, "Oh, everybody in the States is on these new skates." But it weren't until '92 that.
Well, I remember we trained through the winter on them. Didn't
Do you remember? Yeah, at Fox Hollies.
Yeah,
couldn't stand up.
We were training with Will Ferrari.
That's
the short track Olympic champion.
Yeah.
Or he went on to be, didn't he?
Yeah.
And we were training with him on the round Fox Hollies.
Yeah.
And I remember those god awful Australian boots that were moulded to your feet.
Yeah.
And it took you a good 6 months to get over the pain.
They weren't Australian. They weren't. Stuart Pass. They were made by Stuart Pass, the ice skater who lived in Yardley. Because we used to call them. Yeah, we used to call these boots the Pass Cripple.
I thought, I know what it was now. There was some quad boots before that were
That's right, they were bunts. They were bunts.
Yeah, and they were nice. They were soft.
That's right.
Yeah, you're right. It's the ice skater boots, isn't it? They were awful.
They were. I've still got the lumps on my feet.
So have I.
Yeah, I've still got lumps from them boots. Yeah, the Pass Cripple.
Oh, I remember my ankles were in agony.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so we used to have to wear them ankle protectors and stuff like that. There was, I know. Well, '93. So in actual fact, in 1993, you started to make a proper comeback again, if you like. You call it a comeback. You didn't do much, but
did I ever?
No. Well, you didn't have. Well, the thing is that we went to Colorado, and that was your first Worlds.
That was my first Worlds, but no, I don't. I'd raced pretty much all that year,
right?
Because I'd gone through a winter learning how to use the inlines, with you guys, and I'd raced the British Championships at that point.
Yeah, but I think in this country we didn't switch to inlines for championships until the following year, '94. We were really late.
Right. Okay.
So we were still on quads then, and we were doing. There were some inline races back in this country, but the championships weren't. And I know that because Colorado was about October, I think.
I think it was, yeah. And then there was you, me, Sutty, and Adrian.
No, it weren't Sutty. No, it weren't Sutty. It was
sure?
It was Terry Tulip, Robert Rose. You remember it? Yeah, it was Robert Rose. Yeah,
Robert, yeah.
And Adrian.
I remember Adrian.
And McInerney.
Of course, yeah.
There was five of us.
He was so quiet, how could you forget?
Yeah. 5 of us, that's right.
Yeah, that's it. I could have sworn Sutty.
No, Sutty didn't go in '93.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know if he was banned. I don't think so.
I remember being at the track, going and training at the track, and an American guy, an old American guy, going, "Hey, that's Lance Armstrong."
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Lance Armstrong. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because it was at the velodrome.
That's it. Yeah, and the velodrome was outside of the speed skating track, wasn't it?
It was cold.
And there was cold and no one there watching.
That's right. It was the. I have to say, it's
like
the worst Worlds. It's the worst for your first. It was the worst Worlds I'd ever been to.
Gujo Mestras was great.
Yeah.
The crowds there were brilliant.
Yeah, but like as you say, Colorado Springs, there was nobody.
No.
It was dead. Other than skaters, it was nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, and I just remember it being bitterly cold.
Yeah, it was freezing. But I remember the accommodation and that, which was sparse.
Yeah.
But I remember the American swimmers.
Remember the pants on the door? Yeah.
And the food as well was immense. I think I came back about a stone heavier.
I come back about 14 stone then, Ashby.
Probably.
No, Colorado, the OTC, the Olympic Training Centre. That's what it was, the OTC.
Yeah.
It was sparse, yeah. So, but you stuck at it, again you start training hard, and then we do get to 94 and the British Championships, first time on inlines, and I remember you concentrating on sprints, because I remember we used to go to, not Telford, tell me the name of the place, the car park we used to train on, me and you, over at Smedic Way.
Oh yeah, Oldbury. It was
Oldbury.
By the council buildings
That's
in
it.
Oldbury.
Yeah, remember that?
Yeah.
And we said, yeah. And that's where, and you just solely concentrated on sprints.
Yeah, starts.
Yeah. And Fox Ollies, you'd come in for it. We'd be doing the distance. You'd come in for a fast lap, and you'd be just doing that. And I look back through the records here because we did the Grand Prix season, and in amongst the Grand Prix season was the time trial.
Yeah, the time trials, and I lost the first one, didn't I?
You come second. That's right. Yeah.
Lost. Yeah.
Yeah, lost it. Yeah, you lost. Yeah, that's right. You lost it. But you did over the 5 that were held that year. You won 4 of them.
Was it Sutton? I
think it was Sutton, but I couldn't swear to it. I think it might have been Ampadu actually. Thinking about it.
Yeah,
it might have been Chris Ampadu.
I don't ever remember being beaten by Ampadu though.
No, he was the one who in the British Championships. He was the one who finished second to you.
Yeah.
So, tell me about the '94 champs on wheels and inlines. Do you remember that?
I do. Yeah, I remember practicing my start loads. Great. Add that down to a fine art for me.
Yeah.
Fine art. But I remember being completely out of control on the corners. Like some sort of comedy act, going around the corners, all arms and legs, trying to keep a balance.
Yeah.
But yeah, going too damn fast down the straights and then trying to survive the corners and just about getting round. Yeah.
Do you remember winning it? Do you remember thinking, because
I don't remember thinking, first ever on inline.
Yeah.
But I remember winning it and being delighted at winning it.
Yeah. Yeah, because it was quite a big
thing. Because I'd worked
thing.
so hard towards it.
Yeah.
And I was so determined, and I knew Ampadu was good, I knew Sutton was good, and I knew they were strong. And I remember the 500 that year as well. I'm sure it was the 500 that year, and I really felt like I had a good chance in that.
Yeah.
And I lost out on that one. I can't remember who to.
Actually, I tell you who was second to the time trial. When Ampadu, it was McInerney. Who was second? Yeah.
He was Michael.
Yeah, because he was really quick. Because he'd really been working hard on inlines. He'd been doing a lot of fence skating.
Yeah, of course.
He'd been doing all the fence skating and ice skating.
He was probably 20th after the first 50 metres, and then it came through after that. Sorry, Michael.
I'll send him a copy. But yeah, I remember it was inlines were still relatively new. They've been around a few years. It's still relatively new, and for us. So, did you? I mean, it's 11 years since you first won it. Did you ever doubt yourself going into that race, do you think?
No, not really. I was really confident actually.
Yeah.
Because I'd won quite a few of them before that. And because I'd been working so hard on it, and your dad had been like pushing me, and we've been doing start drills and whatever. No, I was quite confident at that point. I really thought I was going to win that.
Right.
Apart from the being totally out of control of the corners.
Yeah.
I knew if I stayed upright, I had a chance of winning.
We were just to say, you used to sprint like you got a barrel between your legs.
Yeah. Bambi on ice.
Bambi on ice. Yeah. So, you did get selected for the Europeans and the Worlds this year, first time for both, and Spain in Pamplona.
Yeah.
You had a top 10 finish there actually in 500 on the track, and the Worlds in Gujan Mestras. What do you remember then?
I remember being very lucky to get through the heats of the 500.
Right.
In all honesty, I was.
Where that's in Spain or?
In Spain.
Yeah.
It was again. It was the same track as I raced on when I was a junior, but it was just undercover this time.
That's right.
When we raced on it as a junior, it didn't have the roof over it, and it had the roof over it this time, and it was very slippy. And I remember forcing myself to go around the top of the bends and then diving down on the 500s and I think I went through on the fastest time on the 500. Pretty sure I did.
Was it inlines or quads? Because thinking about it, I can't. Do you know what I think? I think we had both.
Yeah, we did. We did, and I think the 500 was on quads.
Right, yeah, I have a vague recollection there that it was.
I think the 300 was on inlines, and the 500 was on quads.
I think you're right.
And yeah, I'd say lucky going through.
Yeah,
Obviously, I had a fast heat and whatever, but yeah, I got through, and I guess again I was in a fast next round, whether it was the semis or what, and that just pushed me up into the top 10. Didn't make the final, obviously.
Yeah. Well, do you remember? What do you remember of the Worlds? Did you just do the road in Goujan, or did you do the track as well? I remember.
I think I just did the road.
Yeah, I can't remember.
I'm pretty sure.
I think
did
you
the road.
did.
I remember seeing the Americans and thinking of the Europeans that the French were out of this world.
Yeah.
And then getting to the Worlds and seeing the Americans and thinking, it's another level again. Because it was Chad Hedrick.
Chad Hedrick come on the track, that's right. It was his first one on the track.
Yeah.
You got Tony Hughes
on the inlines. And the angle he got on his blades was just incredible. And looking at them thinking, that's just beyond
another planet.
Anything I could get to.
Yeah.
And I, as I say, I thought the French were good, but they were just incredible. Nordine Sadu was it, and people like that.
Yeah.
I remember, Gikel, and I remember the road at Goujan, and I liked the road. That was great through the trees.
Yeah, it was a big old road.
Yeah, it was great. That suited me. That did. And I remember. I think I had a good. I'm sure I had a good race on there.
Yeah.
I think I did a good 300 actually.
Yeah.
I was in the top 5 for a long time.
Yeah.
I'm sure I was in the 300, and then about the last 4 or 5 guys went, and I don't know whether I was top 10 or just out of it.
Not sure. It was a big old track, wasn't it?
Yeah. But I remember being reasonably high up for quite a while.
Yeah.
And thinking, no.
Yeah.
Surely not.
You weren't the only one.
And then the last 4 or 5 went, and then I remember the marathon. I didn't do the marathon, but I remember you old boys doing the marathon. Me standing there on the track waiting for you to come back and seeing you come through the gate onto the road circuit, looking completely exhausted. And I think to myself, Christ, I didn't do that.
Well, what was funny, there's a story there, and I'll save it for another day, but the bottom line is at the end of that marathon, Sutty cried. But anyway.
Was that because you beat him?
Yeah. It was because everybody had there was 8 of us, and I think Adrian had bought 7 sets of wheels over these hyper shocks, and I'd gone for a wee, and I come back and everybody had a set of these wheels, and he'd sold them for £1, and it meant that I'd got to go and use these Libidas, and I was gutted because everybody had them, and I couldn't believe it because it was my event, and he'd give all these wheels away. And we went into them, and these hypershocks were crap. and I was on brilliant wheels, it turns out, and I rolled in just beyond para. So anyway, but in 1995, we go back domestically, and again another lean year. You didn't do much in '95. I got the record show. You only probably did 1 race event in '95.
Yeah, I'm sure I did more
well.
than that.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible that I've only got records of 1 event, which was in August. But that aside, you did go to Australia towards the end of that year.
Well, I remember. I don't think I started the year, and then I did more than 1 race. I'm sure I did. But anyway, I did some races towards the end of the year, and the Worlds were in Australia in November time.
It was November, yeah.
And I remember training specifically for them.
Yeah.
With you. And Christ knows I've got on the team, just probably because no one else wanted to go.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. No. Probably is. I'm not stupid enough to believe it was anything else. But I remember training specifically for them.
Yeah.
Whether or not I hadn't competed in the early part of the year, and then I came back trained for them. I don't know.
It did seem a very lean year.
It was odd, and that was towards the end of my my racing, because I remember coming back from Australia.
Yeah.
And I did train through the winter.
Yeah.
And I went to Germany for an international.
Right.
And I remember we went on a coach, and I forget where it was now. Darmstadt, I think.
Darmstadt or Grosskaren, no?
Grosskaren, could have been.
Could be Grosskaren.
Not sure, but I remember it was on the road.
Yeah.
It was the last day.
Yeah.
And again, I liked the road, and I was flying around the road, and there was a massive pile-up.
Right.
And I went over, and I just covered head to foot in burns. And got seen to by the ambulance, and then I had to travel all the way back, so like 12 hours on this coach.
Yeah.
And I remember travelling back on that coach thinking, nah,
I've had enough.
I've had enough of this.
Yeah, because you did do a few races in '96, but then like you were sort of not a patch on like your former self, really. I mean, and your last race was the championships. You'd done the time trial, come fourth, but you didn't even get through to the final of the 500s. You only just scraped through actually to the semis, and then your last race with the 5,000 meters. Did you know that was going to be your last one?
Yeah, probably. Like I say, I made the decision probably before that was it. I was probably just going through the motions, to be honest with you.
Really?
Yeah, you just get to a point where you've had enough, and probably should have stopped there and then. But
you were just like a month shy of your 30th birthday.
Yeah, that's it. I remember being 30 or there or thereabouts, and just thinking this hurts too much and it takes too long to recover. Because I remember sitting in at work, in my trousers for work, and these burns on my legs sticking to my trousers, or my trousers sticking to them, and being uncomfortable, thinking, no, I've had enough of this.
Saying like that you was ready to quit. You thought that was enough, yeah?
Yeah.
Totally had enough. So do you regret it now that you're still like 29 years of age, or do you think you got enough out of it?
No, I think because I started when I was 10 or 11.
Yeah, it was a long time.
I think I probably started too early.
Right.
I probably made the national team too early.
Right.
And 30 was enough for me, whereas I think some people that might have made the national team in their mid-20s might have gone on till they were 35, 36 kind of thing. It's...
Yeah, it's funny that, because you saying that. I didn't start until I was 15, and I was like early 30s when I jacked, but like you're quite right, that people who did start really early, like your Ashleys, like your Rowans, they were finished early as well, and you got Tony Marriott as another one.
It's almost a saturation point,
Well, Tony Marriott, for all, you got medals at the Europeans and 3 silvers and worlds, he was top 6 and stuff. And yet he was finished by 22. There's a whole another for me another 5-6 years to go at that stage. But
easily.
Yeah, maybe it is saturation point. Perhaps you're right. Perhaps that's what what stops people.
And everybody's different as well, obviously. And other influences come into people's lives, whether you like it or not. It's not a professional sport. You can't not work, you can't dedicate yourself 100% to it. Yeah. So other influences, whether they be work or relationships or whatever, come into play.
Did you ever think about going to management or coaching or officialdom or
Not really, because at that time when I stopped that, I started concentrating on the work.
Yeah.
And started going up in my career and things like that. So no, I didn't really have time to think about that, to be honest with you. Your
dad was quite a well-known figure around the track as well for many years. Quite a silent, quite a humble sort of guy. Really,
just like being involved, I think.
Yeah, did he? Obviously he got involved. Did he get involved from the start when you got involved, or what? Did he?
Not right from the start, no. But from the fairly early days, when Home Bay Flyers were brought together, he was always kind of involved. He was there at the training sessions, although he didn't run anymore or anything. And then I think, when there were races at William Street Car Park, I think he was asked to kind of look after the tubs on the corners, and then he went on to doing lapboard and things like that. And I think he just gradually got involved in it. Yeah, because he was very much on the sidelines. He enjoyed it. I don't think he was never part of the team of officials, but he enjoyed kind of playing a part, I think. Yeah. So. Yeah, because it was funny, because I said I obviously knew quite well through yourself and that, and he was always quite a humble guy, quite a quiet guy, quite reserved, never really spoke out about things. If he thought anybody had done something wrong or against you, never really, he never got animated about it. No, he didn't really have an opinion on these things. No. Kept himself to himself. Yeah, he did, and yet I always remember, and again, it's something I don't know if you remember, and I was looking at this not long ago actually. There was a guy called John Cousins from Finland who used to video the races. Right. And I always remember that there was a race where you must have been the Birmingham Wheels team at the time, and Henry Crystal was caught on video talking to your dad about the Fries were using you as a hatchet man.
and all you're out there to do is cause trouble, and it was funny because we weren't around at the time, but your dad was caught on video really defending you to the hilt and saying that ain't the case, and it was really strange to watch because I'd never seen that side to your dad, and I thought it was and I didn't know if you ever remembered that.
No, I don't remember that particularly. I think I remember you telling me about it.
Yeah.
But that was probably years after the event. I'd have thought. But I do remember you saying that I was used as a hatchet man, and Henry was absolutely right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
My job was to kick everybody.
Absolutely, you did it rather well. Did you ever get banned? You got disqualified a few times, so I wasn't sure if you got banned.
I think I got banned. I got disqualified quite a bit.
Yeah. There always seems, when I look back for the records, there seems to be quite a lot of DQs against your name.
I was always willing to use the elbows a bit too much.
So what have you been doing since your skating then? So you jacked it in, and then what?
Blimey, working hard, starting a family. Getting into a new relationship, having two wonderful kids, who are 12 and 11 now, and now moving to Australia.
When do you go?
Tomorrow.
So ironically then, your last time out internationally is now going to be the start of a new life.
Yeah.
In the same country.
But not Perth.
But not Perth.
Brisbane this time.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Excited.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Love Australia. Love the Australians. You know, fabulous people. Love their country. Just kind of want to be a part of that. Want to go out there, live out there, immerse myself in the culture, and get on with them.
Fantastic. You have to look up Bill Biggs. So you could,
go and live in his garage.
See if he's got a garage or a pit that you can go and come down.
Absolutely, on a foam mattress in his garage. Lovely.
So would you go back and change anything if you could?
Yeah, absolutely.
Go on then.
Where do I start?
give me a for instance.
If I had the time again, I couldn't obviously change being selected for the '83 championships, but I think I would have tried harder to build on that, which I didn't do. I was too young. I was 16, and I was chasing everything. And so I think looking back, if I'd have tried to build on that, not many people get selected for the national team at 16 years old, or 17 or whatever it was. I think if I'd done that, if I trained harder when I was in Birmingham, lots and lots of ifs, but fact of the matter is I didn't.
Regrets though, or?
Not really. Yes, kind of, because I think I could have probably been a little bit better than I was. Maybe I could have, not finished 8th in the Europeans and maybe 7th. No, I don't know, but I could have been a little bit better.
Do you miss it?
Sometimes, sometimes. And the competitiveness of it, still competitive to this day, kind of thing. Thanks to that.
Yeah.
Still want to win at everything.
Is it? I find that when I watch something like the Olympics, that's when I miss it most. When I see people bumming around, even on the cycling and bumming around the track.
Yeah, but we always forget the hours and hours that they put in. We were effectively part-time. We were working. And we were training in the mornings and we were training at night, and it was hard. But the hours they put in.
Whenever I talk to my wife and kids don't know of a time when I raced, and what's really funny.
Well, mine don't either.
And whenever I say, I used to, that was just like me, they laugh and say they think it's really funny. They think I'm taking the mickey. But deep down, I don't know.
Well, mine think it's hilarious that I used to prance around on a pair of skates.
If I get called Glory again one more time.
But no real regrets, because I enjoyed it. But just, you kind of think to yourself, what if?
Would you ever go into veteran racing?
No, God no.
Because?
Because I'm too lazy.
I'll agree with that one.
Maybe I will in Australia, who knows? Maybe I'll get a bit of sun on my back and I feel like doing something.
Yeah.
Me and Spooner and Whitey flying around the track at 50 years old, trying to kick lumps out of each other, you never know.
Fair play. Well, and would you do it all again if you had your time again?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it's great fun.
Brilliant. Well, Stuart Ashby, thank you very much for your time. It's been brilliant. It's been I've really enjoyed finding out about your skating careers. I'm sure hundreds more people will do. When I post this out on YouTube.
You probably know more still, don't you? But anyway, we won't go there. Thank you, John.
Cheers, mate. Good, cheers.